Hi, and with Warlords of Draenor about to burn and Legion rising from the ashes like a phoenix, I'm going to take a little look back at this much maligned expansion. A while ago I sent out a poll to vote on your favourite features of Warlords of Draenor. They had to be features that were introduced in this expansion. So in position number 5 was the requirement for silver proving grounds to be able to sign up for heroic dungeons in LFD. From experience, I have to say this worked really well to begin with. In fact, it worked so well that you actually had a tougher time in normal mode dungeons than heroics. This was because the idea that you had to demonstrate a basic level of skill with your class and role to be able to get into heroics, so much so that I used to do silver proving grounds as soon as I dinged on alts and then pass them a pack of high level BOEs just to boost myself in terms of the item level into the heroic queue. The minimum item level wasn't based on the gear you were wearing or was even bound to you. I remember one normal dungeon run in particular and inspecting someone and seeing that they had pretty much the best gear you could get from normals. I wondered why they weren't doing heroic, so I looked them up on the armory and lo and behold, he or she only had bronze proving grounds. It felt a bit sad, to be honest, as I wasn't exactly sure how someone could go not getting silver standard after such a long time. In 4th place is one piece of recycled content for WoD that was actually welcomed: time walking dungeons. Sure, it's not quite the same experience as doing them in their original form, but scaling the gear down allowed for a couple of things. You could have reasonably even playing field and perhaps rate yourself against higher progress players in your party, and also use gear in your bank from that expansion or later. So you could get your Warglaives back out for the TBC dungeons, your Shadowmourne for Wrath, and so on. With its own currency for acquiring some reasonable level gear and other non-gear items available, there was also some reward for doing the content as well. By limiting it to occasional weekends at first and then eventually weeks, they also prevented the concept from losing its lustre due to overexposure. In 3rd place, there's a little bit and ahhing whether I'd even put this in there because forms of it have existed before, but in 3rd place is the Mount tab because it was new enough for WoD. And WoD brought with it a number of quality of life features, and this is one of the more popular ones, it seems. Up until the pre-WoD patch, Blizzard had tried to do various things with the ever-increasing number of mounts that we were collecting to make them more convenient, which culminated in the Mount tab as we have it now, whereby you can easily select mounts, including the ability to highlight your favourites so they always appear at the top. In addition, you can also see the uncollected ones and where to find them, or at least where you used to be able to find them if they're no longer obtainable. In 2nd place is the reagent tab of the bank. This was welcome for a couple of reasons, given that the number of tabs has never been increased all through World of Warcraft's history, and yet we collect more and more junk. Simply getting bigger bags each expansion was never quite enough to store all our stuff. The reagent bank at least allowed us to store our crafting materials without putting extra pressure on our banks or having to mess about with mailing transfers between characters, as the usual solution with non-BOP craft items was to store it on a bank alt. Another innovation is that with a click of a button we could empty out all of our crafting reagents into this tab rather than have to drag them one stack at a time. Now if only they would make it even bigger and make it account shared, as is the case with many other MMOs, I'd be set. Now before revealing the number 1, I'll go through a few of my personal honourable mentions. Features that I've been particularly praiseworthy of have been the idea of quest rewards having a chance to randomly upgrade in quality. This adds a little bit of excitement, as even if the reward on offer isn't quite an upgrade for you, there's a chance it could be if you're lucky. Another feature has been mass milling of herbs for scribes. Okay, you had to wait for the right vendor or find someone who had it in their garrison in order to get the skill to do this, but what a lifesaver. I can't begin to describe the dread I had whenever I sat down to do some inscription and faced off against 4 or 5 stacks of 200 herbs each in my backpack. Now, it still takes a while, but I can at least do something else while my character gets to work with minimal input from me. One final thing for me is gathering followers. Sure, a lot of people don't like the Facebook Farmville-like missions, but I really enjoyed finding the followers at least out in the world. This is just something I think is absent from Legion, specifically because Blizzard felt they had to move as far away from the WoD model as possible, even dropping some of the things that maybe worked. Even though we don't have the sheer number of followers in Legion, they're all collected in a pretty boring way, and I think we've lost something there. But anyway, on to the actual number 1. which is another quality of life feature, this time the heirloom tab. Looks like we'd enjoy clicking on tabs more than actually doing the content in WoD. Heirlooms have existed in the game for many years, but they just had to be left on your characters. Yes, they made them bind on account and even let us mail them to our characters cross-realm after a while, but you still had to remember which character had them when you wanted to use them, or get an add-on such as Alcoholic and go searching. With the advent of the heirloom tab, this is no longer necessary. Just create yourself a new one from the tab. This was even expanded to include new rings, trinkets, and even a mount for level 1 upwards. There aren't that many slots that don't include heirlooms to match now, and we need never worry about losing track of them again. So that's the countdown of some of the good features to come with Warlords of Draenor, even if the expansion itself goes down in history as the worst made. But lest we forget that there are a lot of very talented and committed people working for Blizzard, and you can't keep them down even with poor management directions. So I hope you found this interesting as always. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share. And until next time, I'll see you later.